Good afternoon, and everybody. Welcome to the Museum of Moving Pictures in Queens, New York. If you look on the billboard in front of you, you'll see a new exhibit about the mysterious life of Louis Le Prince, the true father of the motion picture. In this exhibit, you will learn about Louis's early life and family life, his world-class inventions, and his mysterious disappearance. If you'll follow me to the first part of the exhibit, you'll see that Louis was born in Metz, France, and there's not much known about his time there, but he was always known as a bright young man. Early on, he moved to England, where he studied brasswork and met his wife, Elizabeth, and they had their son, Adolphe and Marie. In 1881, Louis moved to New York City to study art with his wife and become a teacher and a student. While in New York, he was inspired by detailed panoramic paintings to start his work on motion pictures, which at that time were not even heard of. In 1883, he moved back to Leeds, England, where he could get away from people he called spies on his motion picture camera. The second part of our exhibit will consist of Louis' world-class inventions. The first is his 16-lens motion picture camera, which was patented in 1885 and was the first camera that he ever made. This camera doesn't have any recovered motion pictures, but from stories of his daughter, he could find Louis working in the garage and seeing projections as early as 1886 of real motion pictures. According to the BBC, Louis started working on his single-lens camera in 1888, which is 3 years prior to where anybody in the whole world even patented one. Louis was also responsible for the first known motion picture, which is called the Roundaway garden scene, which I will play for you now. Now, being that short, it doesn't seem to be too remarkable, but at the time, in 1888, that would have been mind-blowing. That is also proved to be in 1888, nothing anything after that, because there is a person in that film who actually died in October 24th, 1888. Now, and after he had all these successful demonstrations, Louis started going around Europe and showing off his inventions, including places like Britain and France, where he had his stuff patented. His most famous example was at the Paris Opera House. And according to the New York Times, there is a sworn affidavit by the curator of the Opera House who shows that him and everybody in the audience saw Louis project his motion pictures as early as 1890. So with that success, he had the intent to travel to the United States to go to the patent office to secure himself as the rightful inventor of the motion picture camera. And if you know anything about motion pictures, you know that Thomas Edison wouldn't even file for a patent until 1891, a year after this presentation. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, with all this positive momentum, how do we not know about Louis more as the inventor of the motion picture, and how does Thomas Edison get all of his fame? Well, as we move on to the third part of the exhibit, you will realize that his story not only becomes overwhelmingly tragic, but extremely interesting. In September 1890, Louis was staying with his brother in Dijon, France, where he was boarding a train to go show his patents to the New York Patent Office. And 2:30 on that same day, Louis sadly and mysteriously disappeared without a trace. There are many theories about what happened to Louis. The most popular among Louis' family being that Thomas Edison found out about Louis' inventions and saw that he was going to get there first, so he sent people to kidnap and dispose of Louis. There is another theory that Louis' brother killed him because their mother had just passed away and Louis' brother wanted more of the inheritance. The third theory is that Louis may have committed suicide because he put his family in major debt from always working on his camera and never having a full-time job. Sadly, we will probably never know what happened to Louis because that was over a century ago, and he still hasn't been found. So to overview what we've learned about the great Louis Le Prince, we have learned about what he did in his early life and about his family. We have also learned about his two major inventions. And finally, we have learned about his mysterious disappearance. We here at the Museum of the Motion Picture greatly appreciate you coming to the exhibit of the great Louis Le Prince.